I'm rolling with FD.
I am rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
We are rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
We got alphas and bros in the house.
That's right.
Peace out, my brother.
Woo!
I'm rolling with the F to the D.
Learn something new every day when you're rolling with FD.
We are rolling with FD, baby.
I roll with one person, and that's FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
You gotta love it, man.
Hey, Renee, who you rolling with?
Rolling with FD.
Hey, Matt.
Rolling with FD.
You don't have to ask. I'm rolling with FD.
My man, C. Bless. Who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
That's how you just rolling, right? That's the whole thing, right? You roll with it.
I'm rolling with FD.
Manny and Jeremy, who you rolling with?
We're rolling with FD. We don't want to get our asses kicked.
My man, Dan, the card man. I appreciate you, dog. You gotta let the people know who you rolling with.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
Chasing Cardboard is rolling with FD.
Rolling with FD.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How we doing Monday, February 5th, 6:03 p.m. Pacific Standard Time? I'm very excited to have someone on that I've wanted on for a while. I don't even know if he knows that, but now he does. We got Mark from Ultimate Pastime here. Mark, what's going on?
What's happening, FD?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. And we rolling, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. How's your day been today? I know it's been raining out.
You know what, man? It's a great day. Every day is a great day. It was a good
day.
day.
Too, man. You know, we're here in LA. People get to running and hiding from the rain. And I always think, I'm from the Midwest. I don't know what we would do if it was inclement weather and we just shut down shop.
It's kind of funny how people panic here in California, huh?
Yes, yes, for sure. I see hoods on and winter coats and all kinds of stuff. Well, we got Gabe saying, what's up? What's up, Gabe? Good to have you here. Big John, yo, what's going on? So, Mark, I'm going to jump into some questions here. You and I have talked in the past, but I know I haven't had you on here. Tell us about your background, where you're from and all that, and then how you got interested in the hobby.
Yeah, no problem. Well, FD, you and I actually talked about a couple of times how you and I had a connection from the old Hollywood Park days, and a lot of people don't remember that show. And that was one of the premier card shows in Southern California for so many years. Mm-hmm. And I would be there and we'd bring some players in and you would come through and you'd get autographs. And you said, you remember me from there. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember you from there too. Like such a small world, even though we hadn't seen each other in 20 plus years or whatever, like that saying goes, once a collector, always a collector.
Yes.
It just really like, and we reconnected. It was really cool to reconnect. But I was born in LA. My family moved to Ranch Cucamonga when I was 2 years old. Okay. So basically I was born and raised here in Ranch Cucamonga. And it's been a crazy ride. I collected stuff when I was a kid. I collected cards like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Or like so many people did. And there was a time where I was at a baseball card show and I was there with my grandfather, and there's a gentleman behind the table and he had this whole mound of cards and he was just like disgruntled. He was all mad. And he said, you know what? I'm done with this business. He said, $300, take it all. And my grandpa looks at me and he said, Mark, do you want it? I said, yeah, but Pops, I don't have $300. I was 14 years old at the time. And he said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to pay for it, but as you sell it, you pay me back. He said, but you got to do things the right way. He says, you got to go get a business checking account, a resale license. And he said, there's one more thing. He said, if your grades slip, that's it. I was a freshman in high school. He said, that's it. I'm taking everything back. I said, all right, Pops, you got a deal. So call my mom. She comes down in this big old hoopty station wagon, and like a, it's an 80s station wagon. And we load this thing up and get it home. We start sorting everything. And if you look at what it was back then, what it is today, it's, I don't want to say worthless, but it has very little or minimal value at all because it was all 80s and 90s stuff. And that was the stuff back in the day. There was only a few companies making cards. Sure. There weren't parallels and so many inserts and all that type of stuff. So, I mean, when you open Tops, it's 792 of the same cards. Like, I mean, you probably remember that.
Oh, yeah.
So we're sorting everything, and I end up setting up at this card show where I actually bought the stuff from. I ended up getting a booth, and I go to school, get my homework done, and my mom or my dad or my grandfather would take me down to this show so I can, sell some of this stuff. And so I'm doing that show. And at one point, the promoter comes up to me and says, "Hey, Mark, we got a old former baseball player coming in to sign autographs. Do you want to sit and take tickets for him?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let me ask you this." So I said, "Who's the signer?" He said, "Ernie Banks." I said, "Like Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks?" He said, "Yeah, Ernie Banks is coming. You want to sit and take tickets for him?" I said, "You know what? I'd love to. I know all about Mr. Cub. My parents are my grandpa and my mom's are all from Chicago. And I mean, I love baseball. So I'd pretend like I was sick to stay home, watch WGN to see the Cubs play. Cause I mean, up until 1990, they didn't even have lights. So it was a full day of baseball. You get the Cubs in the morning, you get the Braves in the afternoon, the Angels, Dodgers at night. Like it was a win-win-win, right? So we would do that. I said, it'd be an honor to sit and take tickets for Mr. Cub. So a couple weeks later, Ernie Banks comes in, and I worked with him for 6 or 8 hours that day, and he was really intrigued that at 14 years old, I had my own little setup, and I had my own little booth. And at the end of the signing, he said, "Hey, Mark, I'll never forget this." He goes, "I want to invest in you." I said, "Like, invest in me? What do you mean, Ernie? Like, give me money? What do you mean?" He goes, No. He says, "Go get whatever you want." He goes, "I want to sign it for you for free." I said, "All right, you got a deal." So I go in my pocket. I only had enough money for 2 baseballs in my pocket at the time. Hey, you know what? Take what we can get, right?
That's right.
He signed one of them, HOF 1977, Hall of Fame 1977, and he signed the other one with Mr. Cub. Now, he told me, there was a disclaimer on this. He says, "Mark, I do not want you to keep this. You have to put it into your inventory. That's my way of investing in you. You're going to sell this and, hopefully, put it back into the business."
Mm-hmm.
Well, the story doesn't end there because my dad traveled a lot when I was a kid. So he had a ton of frequent flyer miles. So when the big shows would come up, all the nationals, I got to go to Atlanta, Cleveland, Houston, Chicago, Atlantic City, Baltimore. I was able to go to all that because we didn't have to pay the airfare. There's no way I could have gone if we had to pay the airfare.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to go to these big shows. And at most of the shows, who was there? Ernie Banks was always there. He was signing. He would take me in the back. He would introduce me to other promoters, agents, celebrities, Hall of Famers. And just like anything else, FD, man, the best advertisement's word of mouth.
Yeah.
And Rick Monday once told me, he said, "One thing that somebody can never take from you is your reputation." Sure. And I live by that. And since then, it's opened a lot of doors. But I do some career days for local schools and stuff when they ask to come, and I'll bring the kids stuff. But they want to hear kind of my story, how I got started. And when I tell that story, it all comes down to opportunities, because if I told that promoter when he asked me if I want to sit and take tickets for Ernie Banks, and I was more worried about making the 30 or 40 bucks I was going to make in my booth that day, I probably wouldn't be here where I am today.
That's right.
So
I was just telling somebody the other day, and I was at work. I was talking to a person kind of new to the team. To me, life is all about opportunities, and that sometimes doing stuff that other people won't do.
Absolutely.
And jumping on that and making the most out of it.
Yeah.
And building that story. What you just told me, a lot of stuff you just told me, I did not know.
So, I mean, and you're from Chicago, right?
Yeah, born and raised. I've met Ernie Banks several times.
I mean, what a class act.
The first time I met Ernie Banks, I was 13 to 14 years old in Chicago.
I met him at 14. But what's crazy is we didn't have cell phones, pagers, email. We didn't have all that. He would call my home phone and ask my mom or ask my dad, whoever answered it, "Hey, is Mark there?" And he would just want to talk to me about life and school and business and girls and anything you could think of. He was such a wonderful man.
I can see that.
I mean, he was just such a great dude. And it was such a sad day when he passed away. And yeah, I miss him every day.
Yeah, well, at an autograph show, he was the kind of person that would, if the line could be 300 people for an autograph, Ernie Banks is going to talk to you. He's going to spend time with you. He's going to play with the children. If you're an adult with your kids, if it was me, he's going to talk to my parents. And the first time I met him at a show in Chicago on the South Side, he's in the back room. They had this huge room where they're signing stuff
Uh-huh.
after he left the table. And other players had signed. So there's Andre Dawson stuff. There's stuff everywhere. Jim Brown was
Sure.
this weekend. There's stuff everywhere. And so they told me to go in the back room and grab my stuff. This was that day, Mark. Just go in the back room and grab your stuff.
Right.
You could have took anything, but people knew, you know. So just go back there and grab yourself. So I'll go back there. Ernie Banks is sitting at the table signing autographs, and he asked me, "Hey, what are you doing back here, young man?" And I said, "Well, I dropped off some stuff for you to sign." And I just came back to pick it up. And he said, "What was it?" And I described it to him. He said, "Oh, I just signed it. It's sitting right over there." So then we talked for about 5 minutes.
I mean, he had time for everybody, and
that's,
that's the kind of the man he was. He was a true gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
just an amazing human being, and I really thank him for everything he did for me, and I really think that that's such a big part of where I'm at today.
Great story, man. Thank you for sharing that. We got Gabe here that says, "Nice to meet you, Mark."
Oh, nice to meet you too, Gabe.
Yeah, we got Big John saying, "What's up, Mark? Welcome to the family."
Thank you.
And we got Matt from San Diego. What's up, Matt? Haven't seen Matt in a little bit.
My guy Matt. I know Matt.
Yeah, what's up, Matt? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So talk to people. You have your own business. Talk to people about your business and kind of how you started that, and how have you been growing your business over time?
So we kind of talked about earlier about how I got started. I mean, I did collect cards. I mean, my earliest memory of collecting cards, I remember having some random I was born 1976. I remember having some random 1984 cards. I don't even know how I got them, but I just remember the 84 tops with a little square on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Then 85, I can remember opening up like a few packs. And then 86, for my 10th birthday, I remember I got an entire box, 36 packs of 86 tops. Like that was the first box that I can remember opening up. It's just funny how you can remember stuff like that. But it was such a big part of my childhood. I mean, I love baseball. I love sports. And I mean, how cool is it to be able to get, cards with your favorite players on them, and you can trade them with your friends. I mean, they were called trading cards, and that's what's crazy. And then as it got more popular in the late 80s and early 90s, they started calling them collector cards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they started mass producing everything, because there were so many new collectors on the scene at the time that the manufacturers basically just had to open up those floodgates, and I mean, to accommodate all the new collectors. Well, now that they're called collector cards, usually stuff that's made to collect, isn't collectible because they make so much of it.
Sure. Like
everybody talks about how, I wish I had all my cards from when I was a kid, or my grandpa. And, it's sad that nobody has those cards, because they were great memories for them. But I also think that there wouldn't be a market like there is today if everybody still had their cards, because it'd be like 80s and 90s stuff. I mean, not at that magnitude or at that level, but I think if everybody still had their stuff, like nobody would have gone out to buy it. And I think what brought that market back is people wanted to kind of relive their childhood, and they'd go back and buy the stuff that they remember having those good memories from when they were kids.
True. Very, very true. Very true. If someone is joining the hobby right now, it's been, we've had a boom. We had prices go up. We had a lot of people come into the market, to the hobby. We've had some people leave. There's been a lot of things that's been going on in the last 3 to 4 years. If someone was joining today, walked into a shop today, February 5th, 2024, and you were standing there and they asked you a question about, hey, what should I do? How should I get started? What are some things I want to think about in the next 6 to 12 months? What would you tell them?
First thing I would tell them is they have to ask themselves a question. They have to ask them, are they doing it as a collector or as an investor or a flipper? Because there's different answers for all three of those. If you're going to collect,
true,
like, what I always say, my motto is buy what you like. And that's like, I think if you're going to collect, especially when it comes to cards, it doesn't matter who you're buying. You could collect a guy like, Juan Pierre or Hanley Ramirez or somebody like that, where it's very inexpensive and you can buy quite a bit of them very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to collect other guys, it's going to cost you more money, but collecting was made to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what hobbies are. Hobbies are meant to be fun. And I've seen it. It's unfortunate in the last couple of years where it's become just so stressful for people that it's taken the fun out of it. And that's not what a hobby is about. So first thing I would do is I would ask them that question. Hey, are you in it to collect as an investor long term or a flipper? If you're in it long term, I mean, you can speculate. I do think there are some buys out there. I'm not here to give advice of what to buy because I don't do that. But there are some opportunities out there. And then if you're going to be a flipper, you better keep up on it, because back in the day, you remember this, you and I would have to wait 30 days for a new price guide to come out to see if your cards went up or if they went down. Now it's literally changing by the hour. Mm-hmm. So you've really got to stay on top of it. And if you're going to do that at that magnitude and at that level of flipping, like you just really need to stay on your toes and stay on top of the industry, because like we all know, the prices, it's all performance based. Sure. So if someone's doing good, their stuff's going up. If they're not doing good, their stuff's dropping. And what's cool is baseball literally changes daily because they play so often. Basketball, you got a couple days to sell stuff, but football, you have an entire week, which is good and bad, because if somebody gets hurt, your stuff is stale for an entire week. If someone does good, it's through the roof.
Yes. Very, very true. Something just popped into my head. I wanted to ask you about. I've never thought about this. Ely De La Cruz. What do you think of him as a player? What do you think? Where do you think he's going?
I like his game. I really do. I like his game. I think he's got a great personality, which is a huge attribute when it comes to anything. He gives the media the time. Mm-hmm. He talks to the fans. He interacts. I mean, he's building his own fan base, which only helps the hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of his game. I also think a lot of Cruz with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. He had an injury though that put him out, but yeah, I agree with that, man. You see a guy throw a ball like that across that diamond.
Yeah. At 6, how tall is he?
6'7"? No, is he 6? He's big.
He's playing infield at that. Yeah. Yeah. Big John says, I know Big John's on Ely. Ely is electric.
Yeah.
He brings it.
Kelly for sure.
Mark is the best, says Evan. Mark is the best.
Thank you, Evan.
We got Jenny here. Jenny says, hey guys, what's up, Jenny?
Hey, what's up, Jenny?
What is going on? What is happening? So when you purchase things, you buy stuff. What are some of the steps that Mark goes through when you think about buying something?
I ask myself that same question, because at the end of the day, I've been doing this for 33 years. I'm still a collector at heart.
I can tell when I see you.
I'm so passionate about this hobby because I love it and I've been around it so long. I don't want to say it's all I know, but like I said, I'm just so passionate about it. And I'd love to have you by my home office, my warehouse someday, and kind of show you the stuff that like I collect.
Oh yeah.
And you could walk through here and be like, oh, that's so cool. How much is it worth? I don't even know how much it's worth. I don't care how much it's worth because I like it. And it's in my personal collection. And a lot of the stuff that I have in here is like memories from my childhood, which were such good times. And I like relive my childhood through the hobby, and I buy what I like. And it doesn't matter if it goes up, if it goes down, I'm always going to enjoy it. It's going to have that sentimental value to me. And you've probably seen me post this before, that memories are greater than money. And it's so true, especially when it comes to collecting.
You know, what's interesting is that you say that, like, I don't know how much that is worth. I've said something similar to that to some people, and it throws them off. It's like it's a wild statement to them.
Like, what do you mean you don't know how much it's worth?
You and I are about the same age. We're a year apart. We came through this hobby. We've seen things. We've collected people. We both had love for Don Manley. We went through all that, man. We remember Jose Canseco was a rookie in the bash.
Oh my gosh!
And Will Clark was popping. We remember Wade Boggs was killing people. We remember all that. Nolan Ryan's on the mound pitching against Ricky Henderson.
Those are the days.
Those are the days, man. So when we say that, we you know, it's like, and I even look at, I talk to people all the time about like stuff that's happening in basketball. Like people say stuff about John Moran or this player, that player. And I'm like, what I always ask the question to ask the test is, who does that player remind you of? Because we've seen something like that before. And I look at Ja, I think about AI. Two small guards, very athletic, taking the ball to the cup, dunking on people, going around folks. We've seen stuff before. So it's refreshing to me. That's what I'm.
No, it really is. It really is.
Jenny's here says, hey guys, Matt, funny you said that. I have a binder full of Charlie Blackman.
You know what? But that's what collecting's all about.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It doesn't matter who you collect or what you collect. If you're having fun, you're enjoying it, build that collection.
I totally agree. My memories in the hobby, Jenny says, are way more important to me than anything else. My PC shows that it does.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jenny. That's what it's all about.
It does. Since we've been in the hobby, you've seen things. Can you speak to the market overall? You've seen prices go up. You've seen prices go down over time. You've lived that. We just saw that recently in the last several years. Can you speak to kind of when you look back, what you see and what you think may be coming ahead?
When I look back, like last couple of years, I think like stuff got way too high, way too fast. Obviously, we all knew that. And I use this example on other podcasts that I've done and stuff, that like Kobe Bryant autos or Kobe Bryant Topps PSA 10s.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember a gentleman coming up to me. He just paid $10,000 for a Topps PSA 10, and he was like, "Oh, he was mortified because that card went down to $6,500." I'm like, "Down to $6,500? That card was $80 to $100 for 10 years straight. Like, it's up, it's big." But so many new people came into it during the pandemic, and there was so much money being thrown around that stuff just got way overinflated.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I remember talking to some people doing all that, and a lot of people were holding and waiting for prices to change. And this is again the conversation that you have. You know, it may be 4 or 5 people at a show, and we're standing around talking. And some people would think like, "Man, I can't believe you're not making a move on that $10,000 Kobe, on that $5,500 Kobe." Yeah. And other people said, "No, I remember when that car was $85, and I'm waiting."
Yes, I mean Kobe autos. There was one per case of Panini, like the lower end stuff, threads and all that. You're getting one Kobe per case. They were $80 to $120 all day for unnumbered ones. 200 if they were numbered, 300 if they were numbered low. Now they're like 3,000 if they're numbered low. It's crazy, so crazy.
I know you run a lot of autograph shows, and you run a lot over time. Talked about some of your favorite experiences with different athletes over time.
Oh my gosh, there's so many to think of. I always like to say, you've been to some of our events in the past. I don't want to bring in the biggest name. I want to bring in the best people.
That's right.
Because when people leave your event with a good taste in their mouth, that's going to be an experience that they're going to remember for the rest of their life. If they show up and they paid $300 for an autograph and the guy didn't even look at him, he signs the ball and throws it back at him, and he charges them another $200 to take a picture with them, those aren't the guys that I want to bring in. I want to bring in the guys that are going to give people the time and be able to sit down and talk to them and let them leave, like I said, with a good taste in their mouth. I've had so many experiences. I was able to work with Wilt Chamberlain. I got a funny story with him when he was at Hollywood Park. George Mikan, going back, Stan Musial, obviously Ernie Banks, Rick Monday, Pedro Guerrero is a good friend of mine. Those are all good friends of mine. Wilt kind of told me a funny story, and I can tell you the exact date. I think you'll like the story, FD.
Go ahead.
So the date was March 28th, 1999. I got married April 10th, 1999, so 12 days later.
Okay.
So I was working, 8 hours with Wilt that day, Wilt Chamberlain, okay? Mm-hmm. And we're getting out of his limo. He said, "Hey, Mark, thanks." I said, "Yeah, no problem." I said, "But for what?" He said, "For getting married." I told him I was getting married. I go, "What's the big deal, Wilt? I'm getting married." He goes, "Mark, you're going to leave all," he goes, "you're going to be tied down to one girl, and you're leaving all the other women out there for me." And coming from Wilt, I went home. I told my wife, my wife now, who was my fiance at the time, she didn't think it was that funny. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Mm-hmm. That's Wilt Chamberlain telling me that.
Chamberlain, baby. Yeah.
Right?
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. But just like anything else, relationships and networking are so important when it comes to business. I mean, building those relationships, when you go out there, you might get a better deal than the average Joe because you've dealt with this guy for the last 10 years. You've built that relationship. You've done some business. He knows that you're trustworthy. He's trustworthy, and everyone's going to get a fair price. where someone just comes up and says, "Hey, how much you want for that card? Last comp was this. I need it for that." Like he's probably going to be like, "Why? I don't need to sell it to you for that."
Very true.
Right.
Very true. I think people underestimate the relationship. And when we talk about comps, at times I may pay over comp for a card. And that person who I'm working with remembers that. And there may be another card that comes up that I really want, and they're willing to come under because we've done business together. I've looked out for them.
I mean, you go to shows now, you're seeing prices 20-30% over comps, and that's like the new norm. And I feel like right now the major auction houses, Golden, Heritage, PWCC, eBay, are the ponds that everybody's fishing from right now to get these cards, these nice cards, because they're popping up on these sites. Sure. Now, if you find this nice card and you put your hard-earned money out there and you take the risk and make that investment, you can ask whatever you want for that card. It's your prerogative.
I believe
at that point, you own that card. Now, there's been times where I've seen stuff in auction go super cheap, and I bought it. I relisted it like in my eBay store, and I sold it for more money while it's still on the board. You can see what I paid for it. You know, it's still there. Like the stuff falls through the cracks all the time. There's some good buys. So comps, I agree with it. There is, you know, a theory when it comes to comps about, you know, you need to buy at this, you need to sell at that, but it doesn't apply to everything.
Well, Mark, we know that if we continue to sell under comps, we're going to drive prices of every card down.
I want to be a comp setter. That's what I want to do. Like when I buy stuff, I'm going to overprice it. I'm going to take offers on it. And that's just one of the ways that I do things on that. You can always come down. And another thing, what it does too, is it protects you. You know, God forbid, and I don't play the death pool, but if somebody passes away or if somebody has a great game and their stuff goes through the roof, I mean, you just protect yourself. You can always come down. And it's so crazy about this particular industry because no other industry is like this. Like, first of all, we don't have a wholesaler where we can go to. So say you own a restaurant, FD, and you need, you know, 100 pounds of chicken and steak and beef and whatever you need, you can go to a restaurant and get that.
That's right.
Okay. We don't have a wholesaler where I need, you know, 6 Kobe Tops Chrome PSA 9s. I need 2 10s. I need a Griffey 89 Upper Deck 10. Like we have to go out and search for that. Now, another thing when it comes to that too, is on both sides of the table because we all try to negotiate. We all want the best price we can get, right? It's crazy with this industry though. If you go to the grocery store and you put your milk and your bread and your eggs and it comes out to $18.42 and you go, "Hey, will you take $13?" Dude, the cashier's going to look at you like, "Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?" "Oh, I take $13." But with our business, everything's negotiable at all times. So
very true.
It's definitely a different business than a lot of other things. But I'll tell you what, I was at the Long Beach show on Thursday, Friday. I don't know if you made it down there or not.
I was in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You were out of town. So I went to the Long Beach show, and you go to card shows, and people have nice cards, and they got this, and they got, you know, $10,000 cards. FD, these people had like $100,000 coins, like just like nothing in their case. So like, to put the hobby in perspective, it's awesome, but it's so minimal compared to other industries.
True.
I mean, like the art world. Oh my God. I mean, there's art pieces selling for $200 million.
Yeah.
Like we don't have anything like that.
Very true. Very true. I don't think people think about it like that too. I always think about as well, those who are involved in a hobby, the appreciation of an asset is totally different. Like you're talking about. When we look at homes, stocks, art, it's very different. And how we go about pricing and talking about prices and devaluing certain things or overvaluing certain things
it's way different.
Way different. I don't know that it's because of the end users are different. You know, I don't know. But it's a science that I guess we could all study in our own respect and come up with our own conclusions. But
sure. I mean, a new product comes out and you see a Steph Curry auto that's numbered out of 25 from the similar product from the year before, you can gauge a value on it pretty easy.
Mark, let me ask you a question. This is what I've always thought. New product comes out, is priced at a certain price point. We know that most likely those prices are going to drop. But
somebody's getting stuck with these first buy it nows.
Somebody's getting stuck with them, and we know that's going to happen. We know that's the cycle of new product being introduced.
Yep,
we see it all the time, but we act like we don't see it. Why
I remember LaMelo Ball hoops rookies going for $225.
I remember I was at a shop and
they're in dollar bins.
Someone pulled a LaMelo Ball Prism base straight out the pack was $1,250. And I said that day, standing there, you know that price is not going to last.
Yeah.
But we are. Why? What are your thoughts on that? Why are people?
Everybody wants to be the first. Everyone wants to be the first to get it.
See, I'm the kind of person that
I'm patient.
I'm patient, man. I don't buy a new car.
But I think that's because you've been doing it so long.
I think so.
And I think you've learned the trend. And that's what I try to teach, like on my Instagram stories when I talk about, be patient and like it'll come. There's going to be a day where you're going to be able to own that card. The one thing that drives me crazy that I see is people over leveraged, overextending themselves, putting I don't want to say like their families in jeopardy, but just over a card. There's no card in the world that's worth more than like losing something like as valuable as your family, or running up a credit card, or getting in debt, or overextending yourself. If you can't buy it, don't buy it.
I absolutely agree. Michael K67 says, I once saw an influencer make an offer on a car at the National. The dealer got mad at the offer and told him he wasn't there to make deals because his table cost him $5,000. Naturally, he walked away. It's interesting. I definitely want to get your viewpoint on, because I know you see a lot of people, talk to a lot of people. There is definitely a drive to be the first at something. And a lot of times I say to people, why don't you just kick back? That's a term I use all the time.
Yeah.
Kick back and watch.
Absolutely. Like
I told cars that I've watched for 2 years. I've watched that car move around in price for 2 years.
Now, the whole population report is crazy to me, because unless that car is a 101, there's always a chance it's not going to stay a pop one. People say, oh, pop one. A lot of times, you know why it's a pop one FD? Because nobody in their right mind would ever grade a card like that. That's why it's a pop one a lot of times. But I'm serious. Like, unless it's a 1 of 1, there's always that chance of another one coming out.
And even now, the way cars are manufactured, you may have a 1 of 1, and there may be 15 other 1 of 1s. There could be 5 other 1 of 1s in the same product type that you're buying right now.
Yep. I don't know if you remember 2005 Donruss Diamond Kings. They had like 60 or 80 1 of 1s of the same player. And I think SP Legendary Cuts did it like in 01 or 02 as well. And I mean, even though it says 1 of 1, well, there's 80 different versions of it, so it reflects the price in the market with that stuff.
Mm-hmm. All things that you kind of step back and look at sometimes. And like, I've been to some big shows, and you can walk recently. I was at a big show, and you can walk table to table to table. I saw several 1 of 1s of Justin Fields, same year.
Yep.
And then you got 1 of 1s out here now that have sticker autos on them. This is not an on-card auto. This is
I know.
Then you got some 1 of 1s where the sticker auto is smudged, naturally out of the pack.
There's no way that those cards should even get out with the smudge on it. Like, their quality control's got to be better than that, especially on a card like a 1 of 1.
You would think so.
Yeah. And I understand the whole sticker thing, because it's hard to track down some of these athletes, and you have due dates where you've got to release your product. Mm-hmm. So sometimes sending stickers to them during their busy schedules is the easiest way. We've done a lot of signings for different card companies where they've sent us cards or sheets of stickers. And we've actually got signed by the athlete or celebrity, whoever we were doing the signing with. And I mean, man, these guys hate signing those little stickers anyway. So it's not just us who hate the stickers. Like, they hate signing them too.
I remember. So let's go back to, you talked about kind of customer service and how athletes at live signings interact with the public that's coming through. As someone that's setting up the signing, like, I could name probably 4 or 5 athletes that I've seen in person that one would say could be very rude. How do you, what kind of conversations do you have to know that you're bringing in people that are focused or mindful of what the customer may experience?
it all goes back to the relationship. So like you've met these guys and you've dealt with them in the past, and you know that those guys aren't going to let you down when you bring them out in the public. Everybody has bad days. I totally get that. Everybody has bad days. But here's the thing. This isn't like you're chasing them down at dinner when they're sitting there with their family. Like you're paying for an autograph. Like they should give you the respect that you deserve. I mean, you're buying an autograph. You're paying to meet them. You're not chasing them down for a free autograph. So I just feel like when the people are there, they should be there for the fans. I've done several signings where you look at some of these guys. I've gone to them, not my signings, but I've gone to other signings, and you can just tell they're miserable. They don't want to be there.
That's right.
And like that's not fun for anybody. And like they always say too, like you never want to meet your hero. And unfortunately, that's so true. But there's so many other guys who are people's heroes that are just so good and wonderful human beings.
Absolutely right. We talked about flippers earlier in the show, in the ecosystem of the hobby. Why do you think some people, I'm not going to say all because it's not all, some people look at flippers in a negative light?
I just think that they're trying, like the people who look at them in a negative light are the ones who think that those guys are trying to take money out of their pockets. Like they're screwing up their game because now it's competition for a dealer now, right? If a dealer's at a show and they're going through there and trying to buy stuff, well, now they have competition because there's all these flippers out there who aren't maybe paying for a table, who aren't paying a resale license, who don't have overhead expenses, insurance, stuff like that. I think maybe that's one of the reasons why they might kind of look down on them. I like it. I think it's cool. I do. Even though it is competition, it doesn't matter. Like there's plenty to go around, and there's so many other opportunities out there than just sports cards.
Very true. And I have some cards that I know I have in my collection that a flipper brought into the ecosystem that I'm involved in, and then that card came by my face. And so I appreciate them. I've had flippers and breakers on this podcast because I want to let them know that I appreciate what they do.
And you know what? Love or hate the breakers. They're the one. Those are the guys putting the singles on the market. If there are no breakers, people aren't buying a $3,000 box of cards or a $1,200 box of cards because 99 out of 100 times you're not getting your money back on it.
I agree.
So when they fractionalize it, I'm not into breaking. I don't break. I don't open packs. I buy what I'm looking for. But I mean, it's crazy. But without those guys, there'd be a heck of a lot less singles on the market for us to buy.
That's true. Very true.
So I respect it.
So do I. I know the Dodgers have made a lot of moves in the offseason.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Dodger season next season?
I mean, just like every year, like they say, okay, this is the year again, hopefully it's not a shortened World Series championship, but hopefully they can come back strong. Hopefully Kirsch gets better. I know Bueller's out for another month, but they picked up Tyler Glass now. We actually were at an event the other night, and I chatted with him for about 20 minutes. He's really happy to be a Dodger. Such a nice kid. Got paid a lot of money to come here. I mean, I think it was like $120 or $160 million contract or something like that. Yeah. But he came from Tampa Bay. But I think it's going to be an exciting season. Just like anything else, it all comes down to who's healthy and who's not. If you got a healthy lineup, you don't have to have the biggest superstars to win a World Series. Look at the Angels in 2002. I mean, with the likes of, he's a friend of mine, Adam Kennedy, but David Eckstein and Scott Spezio, and I mean, Gloss was World Series MVP, but Darren Erstad, some of the people watching don't even know who those guys are, but they won a World Series with those like non-household names.
Or even the Texas Rangers last year, or I think of the Chicago White Sox in 2005.
Yeah.
I can't name 3 players on that team right now that most
right.
Know. But the pitching staff was flame on. They were putting the bat on the ball. And
yeah, a funny story. My wife's a teacher. I think you'll appreciate this. And the secretary at her school, her name was Connie, and it was Jeff Blum's mother. And she was contemplating. She was talking to my wife, and this is in 2005. She's like, "Oh, we're in Houston. They played the Astros in the World Series that year, and I just don't know if I should take a day off work to go to the game." And my wife's like, "Your son's in the World Series. Like, take a day off." And he ended up hitting a big home run. for the White Sox. I think it was a walk-off actually, and he wasn't an everyday player, so she didn't even know if she's going to get to see him play. But I mean, how cool is it to have your kid be in the World Series and then hit a monster home run like that?
But sometimes you gotta be unpractical. Like you can't be practical on everything. I have a friend that's close that I've known for years. He knows some Denver Nugget players, and they just won the championship, and they invited him out to celebrate with like 3 or 4 of them. Kevin Porter Jr. was one of them.
Nice.
He was asking me like, "Man, should I take a day off work?" And I was like, "What?
You gotta ask.
Your guy just won a championship. We can't be practical, man. You better get there."
Yeah, exactly.
He went out and enjoyed himself.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's like that. You can't, everything can't be. What is my day gonna be like tomorrow? You gotta.
Hey, we never know. That's why you got to make the best of every day.
You got to go for it. So tell me, but walk me through. I know you are a person that just about goes to every event in the LA area in the hobby. Walk me through because I don't know this. Walk me through when you started that process. And why do you? That's energy. That's a commitment. Why are you so committed to that?
And I'm going to start with this. I'm about as far as you could away as you can get to any show that's going on in Orange County or LA. Yeah. So now everybody coming to Burbank Card Show in a couple weeks get to see what I deal with every weekend because that's almost in my backyard. It's going to be a nice show. I get to sleep in my own bed. Don't have to get a hotel. But no, you know what? As you know, like before the pandemic, there were card shows. Nothing like there are now, though. And the iron got so hot during the pandemic, and all these shows were popping up. And there were sometimes there'd be 4 or 5 shows on a Saturday, different locations. I would try to go to all of them because just like anything else, you meet people. I've met so many wonderful people during the pandemic and throughout the pandemic. Unfortunately, some of them you don't see around as much anymore because either they were over leveraged or they're just out of the hobby for a while temporarily. Hopefully it's temporarily. But opportunities are out there, and you're not going to find anything unless you're out there. Like I said, we don't have a wholesaler where you can just go to and say, I need 3 of this and 6 of that and 2 of these. We don't have that. So I had to get out there and look for it on my own. And that's what I did.
Well, what are some things you walk up to a table? You've seen many vendors at many tables of many different shows. You're on the other side of the table. You want to buy. What are some things you look for in a vendor that tells you this is probably a table I want to purchase from?
3 things. You might have heard me talk about this. I say if you're setting up at a show, bring your PPP. Okay? That means bring your product, bring your prices, and bring your personality. That's what I look at. I look at the quality of the stuff on the table. I look at how it's priced. And I look at how the dealer's treating people, because that's such a big part of all that. And it really is, because there was a situation at a show last weekend. It really irritated me. There was a kid, and this dealer, he was just so rude to the kid. And it just turned me off. I'll never buy anything from that guy ever. I don't care if he's got the best deal on the planet. I'm not going to give that guy a dime, because you don't treat people like that. You treat people the way you want to be treated. So I look at that. I see how people are treating, how they're interacting, the type of products they have, and how their pricing is. And then I look at other stuff too. Like me personally, as a somebody who sells sports cards, I do look at other stuff as far as like a flip. But I know it's going to be a quick flip, because I know this guy's looking for that, he sells on Whatnot, or this guy's looking for that, he sells on eBay. And I know I have my people who I flip stuff to and all that as well. But normally I'm not looking for the everyday shiny stuff that everybody you see at all the shows, the Optic, Prism, Mosaic, Select. That's not the stuff I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of maybe some vintage, some of the Hall of Famer autos, what I consider safer stuff. It's not, I mean, like I said, like there's no guarantee on anything, but I feel like if something's going to drop, it's not going to drop as bad as other stuff.
Very true. I know I'm consistently looking for how organized is the table. What do they have for sale? Is it stuff that I see all the time, or is it something maybe a little bit rare, or how they have presented it? And I'm also looking for, is that person out of their seat? Are they engaging me? Or are they, I walked up. people on their phone. Do you need people on their phone?
What's that?
People are on their phone. I'm asking about a car. That person's on their phone.
Oh yeah,
having their own conversation.
Yep.
And this is like, okay.
Yeah, and I see people not even give people the time of day.
Ooh, not at all. But those people who are organized, ready to go, excited to see you, I'm buying from them on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
One person I can always shout out is Travis.
I love Travis.
I love Travis.
Yeah.
Love me.
He's always got fresh inventory, fair prices.
Ooh, always something new.
He's got something for everybody. Yeah.
Got something for everybody. Out of his seat, ready to talk to you.
Yep.
And will tell you, I think I was talking to a guy, he might have this. Come, let me talk to you in like 2 weeks. I may send you a message. He's ready to rumble.
Yep.
I always love.
And he's that guy too, whether he's engaged and working a deal with somebody, if he sees you walk by, he's going to give you the fist bump, ask about the family, see how everybody's doing.
That's right.
That's the guy, man.
That's right.
That's the guy. But there's so many good people in the industry like that.
Yeah,
that overshadow those bad seeds in the apple, you know?
By far. I agree with you on that. By far. When you see somebody that's doing something else, you're like, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like,
absolutely.
What are we doing?
But you know what though? That should make people want to be like that.
You should. Big John, for me, shows is a way to stay connected with the hobby without having to make a purchase. I go to some shows and I have no intent to make a purchase. I'm there to do some market research, to talk to you, to talk to someone else, to see what are people buying, maybe at what price point. We've even done some shows recently. Just trying to do some market research to understand what's going on. I do that also with anything else. If I'm looking for a car, I don't buy from the first dealership that I go to. If I'm looking for anything else that's priced a little bit more than something else, I'm shopping around. I do that with groceries. I mean, I'm looking around to see, okay, how much is this here? How much is apple juice here?
Right.
If I go over there. And then what is the cost of my gas or time of going there? I get all into that. So,
but here's the thing, FD, the only way that you're going to learn it is to be in the trenches at all the shows. And because like you can, this is a self-taught industry. You can't have a course and show somebody how to buy and sell cards like this, because the market fluctuates so often. But if you're in there day in and day out, you're going to learn it without even knowing that you're learning it. But before you know it, I mean, you're a professional and you're doing it on a daily basis. You're doing deals. I think shows are always going to have a place in the industry, because
so do I.
When somebody you see a card on eBay, and then it may not be what you thought it was, or it may not be as nice as it was. I just think shows are great because you get to touch it, feel it, hold it. You get to look at it, inspect it while you're standing there before you even purchase it, rather than buying something and then have to worry about, it not being, what you ordered.
Yeah. And then I challenge myself too. Like, I don't want to sit and do a podcast and talk about stuff, but I haven't been to a show in 6 months. That's just not me. And I have a background marketing retail, so I'm always going to be in a store, looking around to see what is going on, what's happening. And I feel the same way about the hobby. Like, I feel after a while, if I haven't been to a show in a while, I'm starting to get disconnected.
And it's easy to do because the prices fluctuate so much.
If I was in a show last October, I don't really know what's going on right now.
Oh my! Talk about sticker shock.
That's right.
I saw someone was selling a Zion silver prism PSA 9. I think they had a price of like $75 up north last weekend when I was there. I mean, I used to be like $1,000, $1,500 card. It's crazy.
Huge card. And then, as you know, you can walk the show, and there's some players you don't even see anymore, really, who are averaging over 20 points a game.
Yep.
You don't even see them.
Nope.
And I started asking people, you notice you don't see, let me think of a person. Like, I don't see Brunson for the New York Knicks, who's having a great season.
Yeah.
I don't see his cards.
No one's putting out RJ Barrett. No one's putting like, you don't see any of that stuff.
No. And some stuff, if you really know a vendor and you talk to them and you got a relationship with them, they'll tell you about some stuff they're holding and why they're holding it. Yeah. And I want to know that information.
Look at Shea. Look how many people stash Shea.
That's right. And that's actually a very smart stash.
Crushing it right now.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is what I like to tell people. Be different.
Yes.
Diversify yourself. Don't go after the same 10 guys everybody's going after in the three big respected sports. Like, be different. Go after other guys.
I asked someone at the show one time, you know, it says Burrow, Herbert, LaMelo Ball, Ja, Zion on every table. Is that going to get it? That's just the question I have. I don't know.
But it's hard when the people, I mean, limited stuff is different. But when you go from table to table, case to case, you see the exact same stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just a race to the bottom, basically. That's what I think.
I would have to agree with you, sir. Michael says, I was a dealer in the 90s. The first thing I learned is to engage the customer. Talking breaks the ice.
Absolutely, Michael.
It's business one-on-one.
Absolutely. Doesn't cost you anything to be nice to people and talk to them and greet them, and you know,
goes down to a lot of things. You know, if you do what you like and buy what you like, then you're probably happy that day. If you're finding yourself doing something that you really don't like to do, or you're putting some cards on the table that you felt like you already took a loss on and you're about to take a deep loss, you're not willing to negotiate with people because you're so far in and you don't want to. It becomes something different.
That's why I like the memorabilia aspect of collecting so much. You just got to be careful, obviously, what you're buying, just like everything else. But somebody who's buying a Magic Johnson autographed jersey, for example, not going to cost them much. You can probably get a frame one for $250. Okay. Everyone loves the on-card stuff. I mean, there's nothing more on-card than that, right? I mean, they're touching that actual jersey or the number they're signing and they're putting it on. But someone buys that jersey, they're going to hang it in their house with pride, and they're going to be proud of that. And people are going to come in and they're going to admire it, and they're going to be proud to show whoever comes over, oh my God, it's a Magic Johnson jersey. It's not the most expensive piece in the world. But another thing too, that person that owns that Magic Johnson framed jersey isn't going to be on his phone every 5 minutes. Did it go up or did it go down? Oh my gosh, am I going to lose money on this thing? Because they enjoy it. It's hanging up in their house. It's a piece. It's a fixture now.
You know, to get an economic term, it has personal utility to them.
100%.
And that's not what a lot of people in cars who are looking to flip or do.
It's all about the flip.
That's right. It's all about that. Big John makes a great statement here. Being different requires patience and rest. I talk to people a lot about what, and when we talk about patience, we're talking about timelines. We're talking about what is your timeline to hold before you sell or make a move. It may be totally different. My timeline can be pretty long. And I think a lot of people think like, even when they watch our content, I think like, why is FD making his purchase? What is he going to do with that?
Right. But as a flipper, you can never look back.
Never.
Oh my God, I sold that too early, because think all the stuff that you sold for a lot of money that's now worth that not anywhere near what you sold it for. So it all averages out. We all have those. We all have those.
It's been around for a while. I was looking at some shade prices from 2 years ago. If you could go back in the capsule, just 2022, 2021.
Yep.
While the market was booming, shade stuff was still pretty low. And if you compare that to today, you're like, wow. But we're talking about bronze prisms, golds, stuff that national treasures from Flawless was pretty affordable.
Well, you remember, like, everybody would, like, before, there's still a little bit, but like the last couple big major achievements or accomplishments, like LeBron Topps Chromes, okay, when he broke the scoring record, everyone's like, oh, I'm saving it. I'm not going to sell it yet. Well, guess what happened? The card actually went down a little bit after he broke the record. Supply and demand. Everybody was holding them. They all put them on the market at the exact same time, and there was way less demand than supply.
So I sold a PSA 10 that I had. Mark, I've had this card for years.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Chicago. I went to Chicago to clean some stuff out, pulled the card out. G and I were together. I said, man, I remember the day I broke this out of a box. And I was always minded, put it in a penny sleeve, put it in the top loader, which saved that card. I took that card, got it graded. It came back a PSA 10, right? Wow. At that time, PSA 10 was probably $9,000. You know where it was before. We're talking about $55,000. So this car was like $7,000, $8,000, something like that. So I decided, I held it for a little bit, and I decided when it was about $7,000, $7,200, I'm gonna sell it. And I got comments, man, just people on keys, just you're crazy. I would hold that until LeBron breaks the record. I already know in my head that's not how this is going to work.
Was this after the point that card got up to $40,000? Or
Yes, it's after.
There we go.
This
Yeah.
card's already.
That card never should have been 40K. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the graph, it's been declining for a long time. So that record is going to stop this trend? No, it's not. So I sold it like 7,000, 7,200. That card now is probably
45, maybe 5K. I don't know.
I saw a 9.5 in Atlanta for $1,800.
Wow. Now I do think, I mean, like I said, I don't give advice or anything like what you should buy, but I do think Kobe Chromes are a great buy. I can tell you this: before the I mean, they're impossible to get centered. They're impossible to get without like minimal greening. They all have some type of greening, but it was a retail only product.
Mm-hmm.
That product was never made in a hobby box, and you weren't even guaranteed one Kobe per box. Boxes are $10,000 or $12,000. You can't get one. If you do, it's probably going to be 70-30 or 80-20 centering. It's going to be green. Who knows what it's going to be? But to even a 9, so 9s before Kobe passed away. He passed away on January 26, 2020. 9s before that were in the $400 to $500 range. People kind of respected it. That was a lot for a card back then.
Mm-hmm.
They got up to $15,000 during pandemic, like 14.7, I think was the highest buy. And I'm picking them up now, like right around $1,000. Yep. And like I said, they're not easy 9s.
That's true. Y'all got some knowledge out there, people. Drop the dime on you right quick.
Yeah, but I'm not telling people to go do that. But I'm just telling you that I think, hey,
just saying, hey,
this show is called "What's the Play?" That's my play right now.
Are you making plays? Or you're not. When you look at young modern day basketball or football, do we just talk about from a player perspective? Is there someone that you like to watch?
I'm a big fan of running backs. I'm a big fan of running backs and receivers. I know in the hobby, quarterbacks are really the only people who demand a premium and really sell, who are pretty liquid. But I mean, you look at like Justin Jefferson, and you look at like McCaffrey, and you look at guys like that. Man, if they were quarterbacks,
yeah,
forget it.
That's true.
It's just I like fun to watch. Back in the day, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Randy Moss, we got to see play. Like guys like that. Tim Brown wasn't superstar. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler, but he doesn't sell in the hobby. Mm-hmm. But he was a hell of a football player, man.
Straight from Notre Dame, he was.
Yep.
What do you think? There's been a lot of speculation about Derrick Henry and where he may go. Some people have talked about Dallas, this, that, and the other. I think he's the linchpin or something. I think he's a player. What would you like to see if you could wave a magic wand and see that dude in the offense with a quarterback and some receivers? What would you like to see him play?
Well, we don't have a quarterback, but I'm a Bears fan. I'd love to. Anybody would love to see Derrick Henry on their team. That guy's a man child. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos of him when he was like in Pop Warner. I mean, he was like our size now, and he's just running through these guys. I think he's going to be a major asset to whatever team lands him. If they don't, I don't think they're going to re-sign him. But yeah, I mean, I would love to have him on my team. I think anybody would love to have him on their team.
You got to think Tennessee had him, AJ Brown, Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, another fun one to watch. Even back in the day, like so fun to watch, but gets no hobby love. Very, very minimal hobby love.
Let me ask you about LeBron James.
Okay.
How do you see it playing out with the Lakers? You see him staying here? You see him leaving?
I mean, I saw Giannis yesterday walk off the court in Milwaukee. There's been some talks that, it's going to take more than just LeBron. But, could Giannis come to the Lakers? Is that a possibility, you think? Would the Lakers trade LeBron? What do you think?
I think the Lakers would move LeBron for some assets for the future.
I agree with that because LeBron's going to end up playing with Bronny at some point.
Yeah. And Giannis, I've said for a while, I don't think he's going to finish his career in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he could come to the Lakers, maybe. Who knows?
I think this Dame Lillard was a ditch effort to solidify him there, but I don't think that's going to work.
I agree with that.
They're not going to win. And then this whole thing with Doc Rivers and Griffin and the coaching situation, and Doc now coaching the Eastern Conference in the All-Star game. It's just
coaches have such an impact on these players, especially when they're involved. I know, not to get personal, but at that event I was at on Saturday, everybody gives Dave Roberts so much heat. Okay, whether he has control like people think he does, or he may not have control, like he is such a good dude. I saw him interact with these young players and their girlfriends and wives, and he was sincerely interested in their families and what was going on with them in the offseason and how they've been. And like that's a great manager.
Yeah.
That is a great manager. He's involved. He's engaged with his players. Like he looks after these guys. He cares about them. And once you get to know your players like that, I think the respect that you're going to earn is going to go a long way.
Yes. We talked about, at work, we had a recent training that's talking about team dynamics and leadership and things like that. And then leaders got in the room. And the one key thing of leadership to me is modeling. We talked about that. If you're asking somebody to do something, do you do it yourself? Dave Roberts has been a player and was a utility player and made a play that I've watched many, many times.
Probably one of the most famous stolen bases in baseball history.
Huge.
Right?
Huge.
It was with the Red Sox, but it is what it is, right?
It's huge. And then he learned his base stealing from a former Dodger.
Maury Wills.
That's right. Who was a legendary player. Met him in person. I mean, he's a legendary guy.
But now he's passing that on to his guys.
That's right. And you don't think these guys know the steps that this man has been through? You call a guy off the bench and he comes in and wins a game that turns the whole series around because he's running them bases.
Yep.
And then so it's just interesting to see how whenever I hear somebody talk about Dave Roberts last year when they got put out, people were saying he should be fired. And I'm like, nah. What really, to me, Mark, messed up the whole Dodgers thing was who was the pitcher that had the situation off the field, had to leave the Dodgers?
Julio?
No, Julio is
Bauer.
Trevor Bauer.
Two Dodgers had situations.
Yeah. Well, Julio and Trevor Bauer, that whole rotation got blasted.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. And so Kershaw tried to step up. Certain people tried to step up. Then you had some injuries.
Buehler got hurt. Dustin May got hurt.
Yeah. You can't put all that on Dave Roberts.
You can't.
But that's why now they've rehauled, try to get some pitching in there. Let's see what's up. But
he's not the one going 3 for 38 in the series either, like
Mookie went 0 for 13 or something.
Tough series.
That's what it is, yeah. But you can't tell me Mookie Betts is not Mookie Betts.
Right. Just had a bad series.
So he just had a bad series. So a lot of things happen. So I mean, we'll see. I believe Dave Roberts' future Hall of Fame. I believe that. And we'll see how it plays out.
Nice. He's a wonderful human being, man.
I've met him once, and I got excellent vibes from meeting him.
He's great. And his agent is amazing, too. Talk about a fair agent who's nice to work with and all that. He's out of San Diego, a guy by the name of John Boggs, just an amazing agent. Like, if all agents could be like that, players would be happy, everybody would be happy.
So tell everyone about some of the future events that you have coming up, Mark.
So right now, as far as events, we don't have too much stuff lined up. We do stuff all the time. I mean, we were doing Tuesday trade nights before anybody was kind of even doing trading. Every Tuesday we would do our trade night. Maybe we'll bring something like that back sometime. But right now, I'm just focusing on moving forward, getting my warehouse cleaned up. I mean, the pandemic was crazy. I mean, 3 years of just buying and selling and buying and selling and not having people come in. And it was just like being a procrastinator, I got to say, paid off during the pandemic because, I mean, I'd be going through the warehouse and I'd find a 5,000 count box of all Michael Jordan cards. Then The Last Dance comes out. It's like, it's crazy. So right now we're just really getting the warehouse kind of back in order, getting everything going again. We might have some events, like I said, though, in the past or earlier. The deal's got to work. I'm not trying to bring in a guy that's going to cost my customers $250, $300 for an autograph, then another $200 take a picture with them. Those aren't the guys I want to bring in. So it's got to be the right opportunity. It's got to be the right deal, where it's fair for the public, where, you're not going to get crushed. And those are the kind of deals we got to do. So right now I don't have anything on the calendar, just focusing on like more of the cards and reselling the memorabilia that we've got. But I mean, we're always doing events, so just stay tuned.
Mark, it's a pleasure having you. I want to have you on here more often, man. It's always good. We catch up at shows and we talk, but it's always good to have you on here and pick your brain and get your perspective. You are a walking wealth of knowledge, man. You know the autograph side, business, you're an entrepreneur. You've met so many athletes over time. You have so many stories.
It's been a wild ride, FD.
Yeah. And you're silly.
And you know what, though?
What?
I don't take anything for granted, man. I know I'm blessed to have been able to turn a hobby into a career, and 33 years doing it. It hasn't always been as good as it's been the last 3 or 4 years. I'll tell you that. There's been some really bad times. So it's not all about the good times, but you gotta power through those bad times and wait for the good times to come. They'll come, trust me. There's always going to be opportunities, but you're not going to find opportunities sitting on your couch and sitting in bed, laying in bed. Like, no, you got to get up there and get out there and look for stuff.
Mark, you should write a book one day, right?
No, man.
Bro. You got so much knowledge. I mean, very humble. If y'all don't know, if you haven't met Mark, one of the most humble people I've met. But man, you start asking some questions and picking his brain a little bit, and I always walk away learning something. And if anybody knows me, I don't blow smoke. I don't just.
That means more than you'll ever know coming from UFD. Seriously, I'm an open book. So if you see me at a show, you have a question, if I can answer it, I'd be more than happy to answer it. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to buy, who to invest in, but if you have a question about the hobby or anything like that, life, find me.
And so y'all know, I
love to chat.
Mark knows I pull him aside before and ask him some questions about many different things. And what he just said is true. Always open, always welcome. And what I really love about you, man, is every time I talk to you, I'm talking to the same person.
That's what it is, man. This is what you get. I'm probably wearing the same shirt too, on there, different shirt, but same uniform. Same uniform.
You got that look on lock, bro.
Hey, 14 years, khaki shorts and a black polo shirt.
I could be in the show and just look for that hat and them glasses on top.
Yep, the hat and glasses.
That's smart.
My son just pulled out an old Ultimate Pastime shirt from it was from before he was even born. He was born in 2004, but it said Ultimate, and then it had hat and glasses, and it said Pastime. That was the shirt, like an old one. I'll have to send you a picture of it. It was pretty cool.
Please do. We got Michael saying that was a great, informative podcast tonight, FD and Mark.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
It was great.
Like I said, if you guys see me at shows, stop me, say hi, please. I love talking to everybody and answering questions that you may have, or just, shooting about the hobby. I love it. Like I said, I'm so passionate about this hobby, and I just want everybody to succeed, because if everybody's doing well, the hobby's going to keep going like this. If people start losing, we're going to start losing people, and the hobby's just going to dip like this. And that's not what we want. Like we said, collecting's supposed to be fun. Hobbies are supposed to be fun. And guess what? If it does get too stressful for you, it's okay. Take a break. The hobby's always going to be here when you're ready to come back.
And it is a hobby. I would hope more people would approach it like that. It is a hobby. For me, I put some constraints on how I engage in a hobby. I tell people all the time, I pay cash for things. I don't put things on credit. I make sure that everything in my household, my children, my girlfriend, anything we want to do is taken care of before the hobby is considered. It's not something where I'm taking away. I'm late on my payments on this. I'm doing this because I'm thinking about that.
You have to prioritize your priorities, and you got to find that balance. I see so many people, oh my God, Mark, you're gone so much. You do this. Like, what does your wife say? That's such a big, important part, is having that good family foundation. Growing up, my mom, dad, everybody was so supportive of what I was doing at such a young age. Now I'm married. My wife knew what she was getting into when she married me, because I was doing it when I met her, not at the magnitude I'm doing now. But I was gone quite a bit, traveling at shows and all this. But you got to find that balance, and that's so important in this business or hobby, because you got to prioritize your priorities, and you got to make your priorities your priorities. And if you don't, that's when you're going to run into problems, either financially or relationship problems or marriage problems. Like, you just have to find that balance. And it's such a big part of this hobby that unfortunately some people haven't found yet.
And I think I don't talk about that enough. We talk about family structure. Everything that I've done in life has come from a good family unit. From the time I was a child all the way up to now. When I was young, I could play sports or do anything. I knew when I looked in the crowd, I was going to have support there. My mom and dad was there. If I was doing a school recital, I remember one time in second grade, I recited "Mother to Son" by Langston Hughes. I looked out in the audience. My father was sitting there. And now I couldn't do anything. There would be no rolling with FD. I try to get my sons involved as much as I can. They're in that G and
I love it. I love seeing them, Junior and G. I see them at the shows. That makes my day. I see G filming and Junior running around looking at cards.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so true. It's funny you mentioned that because I can remember. My wife and I talked about this a while back. I missed a really, really big card show. My son or my daughter, she got into theater, and she was doing like a little bit of like plays and stuff like that. And my son played baseball, basketball, football. He did all that stuff. So I never want to miss their games or their recitals or their performances. So I missed a huge show. My daughter had a play, and it was the first one she was in. So she didn't have a big role by any means. But I get there and I'm like, oh, where is she? And my wife's like, she's right back there. She's the tree. And she's standing like this the whole time. You couldn't see her. Didn't have a speaking part. But you know what? That was the best freaking tree I've ever seen. And I missed. And you know what? Any amount of money I could have made that weekend at the shows is irrelevant, dude, because I got to see my daughter perform in her first play.
That's right. And my advice to everybody, this is what I try to do. I hold myself accountable. I'm going to tell people what I'm going to do at home, and then I'm going to do it. So and some people have noticed this. Some people have said to me, in 2024, I come to a show. I might be at that show less time I was in 2022 and 2023. Because when I get out of that show, we're going to do something as a family. So I'm in there. I spend time. I'm committed. I walk. I talk to people. I try to give my time at each table. And then there may be things that I'm not even thinking about buying or purchasing at the table. I want to talk to the vendor. I give that time. I spend time with Junior. He's of age, getting older now, where he'll see something at a table or G that they're interested in. Okay, let's take time to see what you're interested in and talk about it, because you're not just here for me to drag you through the show. You're a human being. You have interest. But once we get out of here, we had already talked about at this time, we're going to do stuff with grandma. We're going to do stuff with mom. And then we're actually going to do that. It's not going to be blown off of my priorities are more important than someone else's priorities. And as we stick to that as a family unit, we don't have it. There are no issues there. Like my April asked me today, you got any shows this weekend? I was like, no, this weekend is Super Bowl. So we're going to have family time. That's what it's at.
Prioritize the priorities, man.
That's right, brother.
That's it.
Mark, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
My pleasure, FD. Seriously.
Always
Thanks
a good
for
time.
having me.
Yeah. Check out Ultimate Pastime, man. When you see him at a show, you see him out and about, talk to him. It was a pleasure to talk to. I hope you have a great evening. Tell your entire family we say hello.
Likewise, brother.
And you know the next event we will be at that you have. And I'm going to hit you up tonight about setting up some time to come out and check you out in your setting.
I'd love to. We could do a live from there if you want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be great, man. Thank you,
Mark. I'll show you some fun stuff.
Oh, I know you got a lot to show, bro. I can't wait to see it.
FD, thanks for having me, brother.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you soon, my man.
Take care.
Bye-bye.